What's up, folks? Antonio Fletcher back with you once again. This video is going to be me responding to Onision and his video 10 Things I Love About Lucifer. Now, Onision just says the most ridiculous things in this video, and the amount of just nonsensical things he just says is just off the charts. It's just ridiculous, the plethora of just insanity that's in this video. But with that being said, let's get into it right now.
Why I love Lucifer. This person suggested I make a 10 things video, but that requires effort, so I'm doing this instead. In the Bible, it apparently says that Lucifer is the root of all evil. He is allegedly where sin was created, but Lucifer is just another person who's blamed for the actions of others. If this cup is defective, I'm not going to say it's the cup's fault, because the cup did not create itself. No, some factory somewhere created this cup, or in this context, God. Using basic logic, you can conclude that it's not Lucifer's fault that he's evil.
Okay, right off the bat, Onision confuses the creation of a non-personal object with the creation of a personal moral agent. This is important because throughout this entire video, Onision is actually attempting to paint Lucifer as the good one and God as the one who is actually being evil. He's blaming God for the way Lucifer is, or in other words, saying that Lucifer is blamed for God's actions to create him the way he is, when he says that Lucifer is blamed for the actions of others, which in this instance means God. Later on in this video, Onision actually shoots himself in the foot with his own reasoning. To understand what I mean, continue watching on and it'll be made clear in a few moments.
Allegedly, Lucifer tried to take over heaven. Apparently, it was the result of pride, jealousy, and discontent. But let's be honest, Lucifer was doing this as no doubt he disagreed with how his father was running things. And that makes me like him even more, because I also have a father that I strongly disagree with. I can relate on a very personal level to the devil. In fact, a lot of other beings could relate to him as well, as 1/3 of all the angels left God for the sake of following Lucifer. Now ask yourselves, someone as powerful as God losing followers to someone less powerful, who do you think is right in that situation? Because normally when you can choose between most powerful being in all of existence and second most powerful being in all of existence, you go with the most powerful. Unless, of course, the most powerful is that goddamn unlikable, in which case you go with the underdog. My point being, maybe Lucifer was onto something.
And this is where Onision shoots himself in the foot. He claimed that maybe Lucifer was onto something. Notice how he clearly holds Lucifer responsible for his actions in exposing God and trying to go against God's alleged unfairness, but does not hold Lucifer responsible for any evil actions he does and passes the buck back to God instead. Onision gave his defective cup analogy to illustrate the creator of the defective cup is responsible for its defect, not the cup itself. But this reasoning can't simply be applied to a defective cup. It can just as well be applied equally to a well-made non-defective cup. As if the cup were in fact non-defective, its non-defective nature can be attributed to its creator, not in the cup itself. So, if God made Lucifer defective, symbolically speaking, of course, in this context to do evil things, then it must be God's responsibility that he is the way he is. But if God made Lucifer too well, as Onision puts it, then it should also be just as much God's responsibility he's made too well, in which case Lucifer cannot take any responsibility for his actions to expose God. God will have to be the reason why Lucifer was onto something, as Onision said, not Lucifer himself. So why does it seem like Onision wants to pass the buck back to God to be blamed for evil, while Onision portraying Lucifer as the one who's right cannot be passed back to God? It's like God must be responsible for evil from allegedly himself and his creation, but rarely, if ever at all, responsible for any good from himself and his creation. So if the argument is going to be made that God must be responsible for any evils his creation does, then God must also be responsible for any good things his creation does. If his creation cannot be blamed for evil, then his creation cannot take credit for good either. However, the pride of men like Onision simply won't entertain the thought of God being good at all and just want to take credit for any good themselves and point the finger at God for evil in the world. It ultimately has nothing to do with God allegedly being evil, but with men simply wanting to go their own way, refusing to submit to God's will, and dishonestly using evil as an excuse not to worship him. People like Onision are immorally prideful, just as Lucifer was in his rebellion. And the rest of this video is simply Onision rambling off more nonsense, which was dealt with by TVC, known as the Vigilant Christian. So I won't be dealing with anything else he says in the rest of this video. If you want to see TVC's video talking commentary about Onision, I'll have a link in the description. So thanks for watching, everyone. Like, comment, subscribe, and peace.